Hey guys, this is Mrs. Farpoint Farms here with another quick, simple, delicious recipe for you. Today we're going to make a modified version of a Mississippi roast or a pot roast, depending on which version that you want to do with it. Today, literally, it's only going to require about 5 or 6 ingredients, something that you can put in your slow cooker. Take anywhere from about 4 to 7 hours, depending on which setting it is, and dinner is done. The way that I do mine, you can also substitute some stuff out, and I'll give you an example. I've got a chuck roast right here. Usually I make this recipe out of a pork loin. I could not find any pork loins on sale, but they did have this nice chuck roast on sale, so I went ahead and picked it up. I make mine with radishes. We really like radishes here, but you can also make it with potatoes. It's just as good. I just happen to like radishes, not quite as high in carbs, maybe a little bit better for you, trying to sneak in some vegetables here and there with my husband. We've got some pepperoncinis, which add just a little bit of a bite to it, and a packet of ranch dressing and a packet of brown gravy. The original recipe calls for a packet of AuJus. I have a really hard time finding that in a low sodium version, so I substitute out the brown gravy mix, and I find that it comes out just as good, if not better. The only thing that I omit from the original recipe, which I think might be really good but kind of uncalled for, is the original recipe calls for a whole stick of butter to put in with it. I think that might just be a bit excessive, so I go ahead and leave it out. In all the recipes I've made, it's delicious without it. Let me go ahead and get them all put in there, and I'll show you step by step how to throw it in there. Here's a close-up. I've got some pepperoncinis, I've got ranch, I've got brown gravy, just a packet of each. Here's a package of radishes. Like I said, you can go ahead and omit them if you need to. There's my beautiful looking chuck roast. Sometimes chuck roast can get kind of fatty, so feel free to go ahead and trim off a little bit of that fat if you choose to. This one looks pretty good, so I didn't do hardly any trimming of it. I just trimmed just a little bit of fat right over there. And I've got 3 pepperoncinis. You can add more if you like to, like the hot spiciness of it. I find that 3 to 5 is a really good number for it. I've got the radishes already inside of the crock pot. I cut them in half just to kind of make them all uniform in size. I found if I don't do that, some of them might get kind of mushy at the end of the cooking time, while some of them are a little bit firm. And if I make them all nice equal sizes, or roughly equal in size, they generally tend to cook pretty evenly. Now we've got the pepperoncinis in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle, as even as I can, a little bit of the brown gravy and a little bit of the ranch on the bottom. And then I'm going to finish, when I put the chuck roast in there, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle the rest of it over it. As you see, I've got some of it sprinkled in there. Again, I use about half of it this way, and then I'll put the rest of it over the chuck roast. If your chuck roast is too big, you can go ahead and cut it in half. This one fits perfectly right into that container. Go ahead and sprinkle the rest of the mixture over it. And you might think that adding ranch dressing to a pot roast is kind of a weird flavor, but it's ranch, it goes on everything. And it gives the gravy just a wonderful, delicious flavor for it. Now in the original recipe, like I said, they do call for a stick of butter. I found it a wee bit excessive. So what I do to add just a little bit of moisture to this crock pot is I just add a little bit of the juices from the pepperoncini. We're talking maybe 2-3 tablespoons. It doesn't require a lot. The way that it makes the gravy is all the natural juices from the slow cooking. That's going to go ahead and melt out of the meat, and it's going to melt out of the pepperoncinis and melt out of the radishes. And it's going to blend together to give you a nice gravy mixture for it. If you cook this on high, it's generally going to take about 4 hours. Usually I'll cook it on slow depending on how much time I have. Slow is generally going to take about 6 to 7 hours depending on the size of your roast. This one's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to check it after about 6 hours just to make sure that it's going to kind of be fall apart tender. If it needs a little bit more time, I'll just leave it in there for an extra like half hour or so. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and throw this on, and about halfway through I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like, and then at the end I will show you what the final product is. Alright, here it is. This was about 4 hours or so in the crock pot. As you can see, I've got my pepperoncini, some radishes. You can tell with the glare here about how good that gravy looks. Alright, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any other great recipe ideas for me to try out, just go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Thank you and take care.